Is it? Oh, India's not playing today. Sorry, I was just watching TV and I thought that India is playing. But anyway, it's not. It's South Africa and New Zealand are playing a semi-final. Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapur. With me, Michael Vaughan and Dinesh Karthik. I got confused for a minute, right? It's just visuals were coming in from Wankhede Stadium, but it's not. It's happening at Eden Gardens. Eden Gardens is where it's happening. A ground where Mr. Dinesh Karthik has some happy memories. Lots of memories, actually. Your glass is just fogged up with the hot coffee. That was funny. There you go. Yeah. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. You've played a lot. This is a great ground to have a semi-final. I love the fact that it's happening at the Eden Gardens. So much history.
Absolutely. It's got lovely vibe to it. It's a city by itself in the sense that old charm, you just feel like when you go back to Cuba or something, everything is little
stuck in time.
There is no hurry. And it's a lovely ground though. Great pitch to bat on. The outfield is jet. It flies. Some of the biggest scores in domestic cricket come from there when the pitches are good, without a shadow of doubt. One of the best chasing ground. Add to the fact that there's a bit of dew, which there is, it becomes even easier to chase tall scores. We have seen 240, 245 or something being chased. So it's the kind of ground that you enjoy as a batter, but also if you go back in time when Gautam Gambhir was captain of KKR, he did use those pitches he had a team full of spinners and he used to have pitches which are slow and not easy to bat on. So that used to be a challenge. Then by the time I became captain, they relayed it and it was probably the most beautiful time for a batter to be alive. Like some of the scores there were brilliant. It's a good ground, 68,000 capacity, and I'm sure it'll be packed out. The energy last game, outstanding. Obviously, Sanju Samson, the hero, and the rest of the Indian team also chipping in at various points. I really enjoy Calcutta. I've enjoyed my time there as a captain, as a player. Also, my first 50 in Test cricket. A lot of good memories there.
Yeah, you good memories with Calcutta? No memories.
No,
not good. You mean
no runs?
No run. Oh,
Didn't win a game. Even with the A team, I think I was here in 1996 with the England A team. I don't think I got past 10.
I'll tell you who else has a bad record there. He's going to be playing today. Marco Jansen. My goodness, he's had a forgettable
With the ball
time
or
there.
the bat?
Bat, I don't even think he spoke much about it. I haven't seen the scores, but with the ball, he went just under 100 in the 50 over World Cup.
Wow.
So,
Right. But I mean, you are expecting him to play today, though, right? I mean, they dropped him in the rested him in the last game.
Yeah, I mean, for the brief moment that the TV kind of went to Calcutta, it looked like Rabada's playing because he was marking his run up and having a bowl. Jansen will play, I'm sure he will. It's just a case of South Africa playing the same kind of brand of cricket they've played throughout the tournament. They've been the best team throughout this World Cup. It doesn't mean that the best team lift the trophy, as India found out in the 50 over World Cup here in India a few years ago, and it's not always the case. Sometimes you can peak a little bit too soon. They've never won a white ball trophy, so there's a bit of added expectation. And I guess that we've spoken about it. The World Test Championship final. They've won a major trophy, so that's a real good lift for the South African group as a whole. But they know now that the world's watching. They're in another semi-final. They've been in many semi-finals over the last 30 years. But can they win one? Can they get to a final and go one better than they did in the Caribbean a couple of years ago?
Michael, is it fair? Sorry.
Is
it fair to say that South Africa has been one of the most consistent teams now in white ball cricket for some time?
Yeah, I think you could argue New Zealand as well. I think they're always there or thereabouts. They always kind of outpunch what they've kind of got as a nation, as a country. They're only a small, a couple of islands down there that they seem to always produce really good cricketers.
GK. Sorry. Go for it.
But I'm just saying, South Africa for me, I think you go back 5, 10, 15 years ago, the C word that everyone's used against South Africa. I don't see this team doing that. I think they've moved on from that tag. I think that they've got a good mentality. It doesn't mean they're going to produce a wonderful performance, but I don't think it'll be because of their mentality. It might be that they have an off night. I think they've moved on from that kind of tag that they had for so long. They're a good team, very well led, whether it's in Test cricket, whether it's in white ball cricket. They've got the right style of player, the right combinations, but it's just all on the given day.
Yeah.
GK, I was just going to tell you, do you believe that T20 is an unpredictable format?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But would you be surprised that a lot of people got the top 4 right? Or at least 3 out of 4. Then what is so unpredictable about this format for about a few World Cups now?
So I think it's a great point that my answer to that would be it's unpredictable on a day. A particular game can go either ways. But when you take it over 6 or 7 games, the consistency will happen with the better team. So that's no saying what unpredictability of the format is, that a really consistent team could lose on a day from a team that's, perhaps not as experienced as them. I don't want to say good, but not as experienced as them, but can better them on the day. But I think when you take it over 6-7 games, you take it over 4 weeks, the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah, if you actually look at the cream, I think there's a little bit of a gulf. India in that top kind of bracket, England for a long time in T20 cricket have been, South Africa are in that now, and then it's between New Zealand and West Indies. I think Australia's a surprise. They did bring their A team here. There was a lot of injuries, but you'd have to say Pakistan and Sri Lanka are 7th and 8th. In the 8, and great for Zimbabwe to have snuck into the Super 8s. But I think there is if you look at the quality of the squads, and they're not coming to the end. They're not. All these teams will be there again in 2 years. When the T20 World Cup comes about, I can't imagine there'll be a huge amount of change. There'll be 1 or 2 new players. That always happens. But the main core of all these sides will still be playing the T20 game in 2 years' time. So it's down to Pakistan and Sri Lanka to have a look at that and go, crikey, got a bit of catching up to. And Australia will want all their players fit for the next one. Yeah. And they come into that top 6. But Pakistan and Sri Lanka at the minute are a little bit of a way off that top 6 that we talk about.
Actually, that's a great point, because that was my 4. That was my prediction pre-tournament. My 4 was England.
And a lot of the people
New
have
Zealand.
got 3. India, England, South Africa are straight. Like, you don't need to think too much. It's whether New Zealand, Australia, whatever. You have one.
So mine
thing.
was New Zealand. I got New Zealand there because they're so consistent, and at least with semi-finals. Like, they can add the semi-final as their address in their passports because they live there, right? They pretty much live there in every tournament. So I had New Zealand, England, South Africa, and India. So I got 4 out of 4. I didn't even know. Thanks for reminding me.
Do you get anything for that?
Yes.
What do you get?
A grand prize. I get you to order us dinner today.
I've done it.
Already?
Yeah, I've done it.
See,
Well,
there
it's a
you go.
snack. It's a snack.
Just a snack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want proper dinner.
Yeah, that's
so
later.
round 2 is also
On
is
me?
you.
Okay. No problem.
It's not on you. We've got enough people here to pay. They'll handle the check, but you do the ordering. All right?
Deal.
That's what you do. With both these
Looking
teams,
forward to this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward as well, right?
You'll be having
You decide the menu today.
roast beef and Yorkshire pudding
Fish and chips.
with a bit of
Mushy peas.
with a bit of gravy.
Deepika, my wife always likes to go for this on a Sunday roast.
Sunday
Sunday
roast.
roast.
Yeah, well, it's not Sunday, but we can make it Sunday.
Well, I mean, it's
Wednesday
semi-final.
roast. Wednesday roast.
It's cricket. We're sitting in studio. We played a little paddle before this. It's a Sunday for us.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, with this kind of life, every day is a Sunday. As my mother says, touch wood. Right. Both these teams in white ball competitions, I think it's fair to say, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Right? That is apt for them, because this happens to both of them. Maybe they can shake it this year, because South Africa has come close. Well, they played the final in the previous T20 World Cup. New Zealand came close in the 2019 ODI World Cup. That's white ball as well, so I'll count that. And that World Cup, you'd have to say, I mean, they didn't get the trophy, but I mean, they didn't lose the final.
You know what's interesting?
They
The
didn't
table,
lose the fight.
GK, when you see it again.
Can you just
Either
can you
of
just
those
say
teams-
that again? Who lifted the trophy?
I'm saying England lifted the trophy, but I mean, New Zealand didn't lose the final.
No, it's the rules are rules, yeah.
I mean, they didn't lose it.
No, but they did lose the Super
I mean,
Over.
yeah, I mean, they lost it in the draw of lots or whatever was done after that.
But they lost the Super Over.
But it was.
So that means they lost.
But they didn't lose the Super Over.
Well, they did lose the Super Over. They didn't get as many runs as England.
No,
Got
they
in the
did
Super-
get the same amount of runs. They
Same
didn't
number
lose
of
the
runs.
number
It was
of
the boundary
boundaries,
count, right?
Boundary
Well,
count.
well, that's still the game. It's the rules.
No, those rules are made up on the spot. It's a bit like what I do with the guessing game. I mean, England has the trophy, so I
You
mean,
can't take away a 50-over World Cup from
no,
us.
I'm not
Come
taking.
on.
I'm not.
Come
Who
on.
am I? I'm not taking it away anyway. Anyway, Australia's taken it away, so they took it in 23. So I can't take it away. But yeah, so I'm just saying that poor New Zealand. I feel bad for them because I mean,
England took away 2 things: Kohinoor from India and the trophy from New Zealand.
from New Zealand. How's that for a sledge? Imagine, and he's getting us dinner today, yeah. Talk about,
When we put the table, if the table can come up again,
of course.
what it does tell you is every edition, one of these 2 teams have made it to the semis.
I'm telling you, they live in the
So
semis.
2007, 9, 14, 16, 21, 22, 24. All editions, barring one of these 2 teams have come to the semi-finals.
But if you look at both these sides, particularly now, in 2026, all their players on both sides pretty much, you could argue Maharaj maybe not, but most of the players on either side are sought after franchise players. They're also sought after.
Yeah.
right down from 1 to 11, pretty much. The franchise leagues are having an auction. The South African players, the paddle goes up.
It's not too bad with the New Zealand players as well.
Correct.
When you look down the 11,
That's a good technique.
That's what
He's
you're gonna
got that
need.
ownership kind of vibe to him. I feel.
I'm going to join DK if he can get to the UK for the auction in a few days' time, that's his problem.
he's
The auction for the 100 and DK, he'll have his paddle.
He's getting on the boat.
Pretending he's got billions. He'll be like, get the paddle up.
do you have space in your boat on your kayak for Michael? Because you're both heading the same direction.
I'm going back on a jet
It's a
ski.
special charter boat.
I'm going on a jet ski.
On a jet ski?
Yeah, just all the way.
I like that. I like that all the way on a jet
It's going
ski.
to take me 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're not in time for the 100 auction. Gents, simple question. Win the toss, bowl first,
Yes.
Yeah.
chase here,
Yeah.
No brainer.
Yeah.
easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Correct.
Yeah, well, I got news for you. Coming in live from the Eden Gardens, which I can't hear very clearly because I've got my finger in my ear. But as soon as I take it out, I can tell you that New Zealand has won the toss. You're undecided to have a bit of a bowl first.
Yeah, no surprise.
So they'll be chasing. No surprise there, right?
Yeah, no, I think New Zealand, it gives them a great chance of winning the game. Doesn't mean they win the game. It gives them a great chance if they can get. I think when you bat first and you know it's a chasing venue, it's how do you get to that number and know that you're never going to be comfortable, because I think as you were saying, 240, 245 have been chased at this venue, but South Africa, in terms of the way that they bat, how do you get to that par and add 7 to 10%? How do you get to that? I mean, it's not easy, because you can go a little bit too hard too soon, lose a few wickets, then you have to kind of play sensibly for a period, and then hopefully capitalise down the back end. But you just look at the game that India beat the West Indies. The West Indies just didn't come out of that power play. I can't imagine that South Africa will play the power play like the West Indies played the power play against India. What they 45? 45 in the power play.
I 45 for no loss, that too.
Yeah, you got to get. Look, if you're 60 for 2, if you lost 2 wickets, I think that's a good power play on this venue.
Yeah.
And you've got to gamble to lose 2 to go. You've got to go early.
True, because you've got to go. I mean, anything less than 200 is easy pickings on this ground, right? What you're saying about the surface, what you're saying about the outfield, anything less than 200 is easy pickings.
That's below par. 200, I feel, is you can fight, but you're not guaranteed a victory. I would say you should try and get close to 70 in that power play. I mean, it looks like I'm being greedy, but honestly, if you beat a gap, it's boundary. Obviously, sixes are a premium, but it is a ground where it doesn't swing much. There's not much seam movement. So you need to almost front load it as much.
Yeah.
And get to about 70, 75. Gettable. It sounds a lot, I agree. But it is gettable. And then at the back end in the last 5, again, you need to score at least 60, 65. That's when you get about 120, 130. And then the rest of the overs, you get to about 80, 90, 220. That's how you need to almost look at it.
So, obviously, you're in the modern dress. Is that how they discuss to get to that number? So, South Africa batting first now. Will they? I can't imagine they're doing it now. You'd think they've done it either this morning or last night. Is that what they would be talking about? That's the way to get to 220 is by breaking it down. We'll get 70 off the power play. We'll have a middle period, and then obviously at the back end, last 5 will hit another 60 or 70.
Ideally, you don't want to be putting a number, but what you would say to the openers, or what should have been discussed, is against India, there was no swing. India-West Indies game, there was no swing. Watch if there is swing for a few deliveries. More often than not, there is not too much swing. If there is no swing, we go hard. We maximize the power play. The number takes care of itself. It could be 60, it could be 85. But let's not put a number to it, because when you put a number, you're trying to attain that, and you sometimes put more pressure than what's required. But if you're free flowing and you can see there is no swing, then you go through with your shots. So the language should be more like, let's watch to see if there's any sort of movement off the pitch or in the air. If not, let's make sure we go hard at them. They will have to bring Santner early. If they bring Santner, the left-handers take over. So the language needs to change as to who is going to take on who, and there should be a clear template as to how it's done. Yeah. And it is very achievable for sure. 60, 65 to 70, I feel, is attainable.
When you see the batting attack of both, they've got batters in form. You have, 3-4 batters in form with New Zealand as well. But can you say that maybe South Africa's batters on form right now, on song, are just edging out New Zealand just by a bit, like a nose length?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be fair that, they've played on some good pitches. Delhi, Ahmedabad, you look at New Zealand have had about in Sri Lanka. The pitches haven't been anywhere near as good. So I think you've got to be kind of fair to the batting unit. But what that will bring is a South African batting unit that's full of confidence. And you might have one or two of the New Zealand players that's not quite at the top of their confidence because they've had a few or a couple of low scores in Sri Lanka. But, once you get to this stage in a semi-final, you see a good pitch, it's kind of what's been's gone. The real good players will forget what's happening in Sri Lanka. And that's the way that South African thing, they've got to forget what's happening in Ahmedabad and Delhi. This is a new day, a new moment. Look at the surface. And form kind of out of the equations in semi-finals. I don't look at form in semi-finals. It's like the world-class performers, these players.
Yeah.
Now, can you just get your mindset and your mentality and your game awareness for that moment? If you can, you've got a great chance of having success.
Then here's the point. You've played a lot of finals. How much does confidence matter? You've had 3 good games coming into this. You could get around to 0. You could have 3 zeros coming into a semi-final. You could get 100. How much does that play then, the momentum of having those scores?
Confidence is a beautiful thing. It helps you have a very positive inner dialogue in the lead up to a game. Once you walk in, it's a skill game. So you need to assess conditions, see what the bowler is bowling, and then you need to use your skill set to put pressure back on them. The inner dialogue in the lead up to a game can be very muddled if you don't have confidence.
Okay.
You're always looking behind your shoulder. You're second guessing yourself. When there is confidence, your brain almost fools you into thinking anything is possible. You're invincible, which is a good feeling to have.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. Let's tell you what's happened at the Eden Gardens. New Zealand has won the toss and decided that they're going to chase. There's changes on both sides. There's 1 with New Zealand. There's 3 with South Africa. We'll get to that in a second. The one they have made is Sodhi is out and Jimmy Neesham is in. So they have decided that they want to bat even deeper, telling you what the situation is at the Eden Gardens. Everybody knows, no secret at all. Saifat Allen at the top, Rachin Ravindra, Phillips, Chapman, Mitchell. Sorry.
Just on that team, that is the best chasing team.
Yeah,
so
it's a solid chasing.
They've gone with a bit of a gamble there. Neesham obviously a good cricketer, but they may have thought Duffy. Another seam bowler on this kind of surface. And I guess if you're chasing, you want that. If you're bowling first, you probably want another bowler. So
fair enough.
They've got the right team for the chase. I mean, that has pretty much power right down to number 9.
True, good point. But to your point about the bowling, if your bowling's a little lighter, I mean, are you in the danger of South Africa going away to a score which is just mentally for you, just not enough to chase?
Yeah, that could happen. That could happen. Yes. But, that for me is a chasing team. So they've got the kind of the right end of the toss.
Yeah,
they've still got to bowl well, and they've got enough variation. I'm no surprise that Sodhi's not playing. He got hit quite convincingly in the last game. So they've kind of gone with the combination that you'd expect, but it must have been a strong conversation with the coaches and the captain. Do we want Duffy or do we want Neesham? They've gone for the extra insurance with the willow. When
we were chatting in the previous game, at the end of the previous game, and talking about the semi-final, we all were thinking that Sodhi would go and Jacob Duffy would come in his place.
Yeah.
If you remember, all of us were saying they'd probably get another pacer in. But when you look at that team and you look at they're going to be bowling first, so you look at that, they have in their bowling now. So Neesham will probably bowl an over 2. But I think what has aided their confidence in doing this is that Rachin Ravindra, the bowlers, come good in the last few games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that may have helped their confidence as well.
Yeah, personally, I'm not for it. I feel it is a safer option to go. The bolder option is obviously to go for Duffy.
Yeah.
Where you back him to get a few wickets. He was recently in the top 5 bowlers in the world. I would visualize the conversation to somehow go along the likes of, in case we bat first, if we want to go hard, it's good to have somebody like Neesham at 8 because it gives us that insurance to go even harder if that's what's required. We lose the toss. It makes more sense in that case. But I can say having someone like Duffy who's very skillful with the ball, even though I think his recent form, which is in the World Cup, has not been great. I think he came off a wrong end of the stick in that bilateral against India. I think Abhishek and the rest of them really put pressure on him. Though I would say it's a safe option, and hence I feel South Africa has that much more chance because they are actually right now bubbling with confidence.
Because doesn't the power play become predictable? Sorry, doesn't the power play become predictable? Their bowling power play become predictable because who are you bowling in the power play?
In general, the bowling becomes predictable. What happens is when you get past the fast bowlers of Henry and Lockie, they have only spin that they're banking on.
Yeah.
Glenn Phillips, Rachin Ravindra, these two are their backup spinners. They have Santner, who's their third spinner. I mean, the first spinner. Obviously, these two guys. McConchy will obviously bowl because left-handers. Every time you need a pacer, they have to go back to Neesham, and obviously Neesham
Or Daryl Mitchell. I mean, that's
Well,
both are not.
I actually look at the game now and you think if Markram and de Kock can strike in the first couple of overs, you know the way that both of those play, but if they can come out and get 25 in the first two, they're going to be
they're going to be
scrambling
Henry or
around.
Lockie, like what Michael says, goes for runs. They can only go to spin. They have
Yeah,
nowhere
that's
else
right.
to go.
So, which is why I'm a little surprised with this, because both Mitchell and Neesham are not express pace by any chance, right? And you've seen Cole McConkey also batted really well. I think one of the chasers, he is the one who
against Sri Lanka.
shepherded. So he's coming at 9.
I just wonder whether the England game where they lost, where they didn't quite get enough runs, I just wonder whether they've kind of gone defensive with their batting thought process and thought, we need a little bit more in the batting depth so we can go a bit harder, whether it's at the top or in that middle period where you're trying to consolidate it at some stage. But it is a safe selection, but they'll be delighted that they're chasing.
But as far as the bowling is concerned, they're playing one batter extra, one bowler less. Are you likey or Mino likey?
I'm not too much for it, only
Yeah.
because I
You know,
feel
like either-
looking at the previous
I
game-
like it now they're chasing.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but I don't think in a semi-final that
You
you
should.
kind of pick your combination going, please, we've got to be chasing. But it's a good chasing squad.
Also, the last game I saw the spinners not bowling that well on that pitch.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Once you take them down, it's one of those grounds where you go for big overs, like 18s, 20s.
That's a lot of spin on Eden. I don't know. I have to say, Mino likey. South Africa, what have they done? They made 3 in the last game, so those were rested, and all 3 come back in, right? So even though Mafaka was good, he was impressive. George Linde was good, but Nokia was decent. Yeah, he was good as well. But anyway, they've all gone, and there was no audition like we were presuming. There was no auditioning. They've gone back to the original 11 before that last Zimbabwe game. So Marco Jansen, Rabada, and Maharaj come back in. It's very interesting for me, because we were talking in the green room before this, and we were saying, will Mafaka play? Will Rabada play? Mafaka bowled well in the last game, and Rabada has perhaps not been in the best form. And you had a very good counterpoint to that. When we suggested that Rabada's perhaps not been in the best form, you disagreed with that. Tell us why.
I disagreed because I feel in the league stages he wasn't great. But when it came to the Super 8 stages, he picked it up a notch. He did bowl well. The wickets column suggests that he's not got wickets. It's not suggesting. It is a fact. He hasn't actually got wickets, but he actually bowled well. And his strength in the last 2 years has been how well he's bowled with the new ball and through the middle phase. He hasn't really nailed it at the death yet. Literally nailed a Yorker, to be fair. But his bowling has been strong up front with the new ball, where he's really used that bounce and that extra extra zip that he gets off the pitch. And through the middle, he's had this uncanny knack of actually using his bowling brains to pick up wickets. He'll come and set up a field for a bouncer, bowl a proper Yorker. He loves a bluff, and he's a very large-hearted guy in terms of wanting to try something. That's why sometimes he goes for runs, but he always has picked up wickets through the middle, which is a tough ask always. When there's nothing in the pitch, nothing in the ball, to create a wicket out of nowhere has been something that I've always admired about Rabada, and I saw a bit of that in the last 2 games that he played. So for me, I would be very confident walking in with Rabada because he's the leader of that attack. Everybody in that attack look up to him, and he behaved like the leader he is in those 2 games for me.
Excellent. So then you, with these 3 changes, they're reverting back to the 11. Me likey, me no likey.
I just don't like the fact they missed a game. I mean,
So you're giving me a me no likey for the last game.
yeah, I'm like, Rabada found a bit of form. Surely you want to play again and just bowl a
Yeah.
few more overs against Zimbabwe. But South Africa did that in the last group game of the first stage of the World Cup, where they played some, and I get that at that stage of the tournament, but now in the Super 8s and going to a semi-final, I'd just play my best team all the time.
And I don't even want to suggest the word rested them to Michael.
I mean, no, please don't.
4 overs. Yeah,
Well,
he's not.
rest the batter then.
Yeah, he's not buying the resting business.
No, I'm not. I just think South Africa are such a good team that I wouldn't overcomplicate anything.
Yeah.
Just keep playing. Look, they might have had niggles, but I can't imagine the left-arm spinner had a niggle.
Yeah.
Now, why wouldn't Maharaj want to play? He's a spinner. I mean, I just don't quite get that. Maybe they're just being nice. Maybe they felt sorry for the guys on the bus that had not played a game. Thought, God, we'll give you a game.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter too much, which I guess can happen just to keep the spirits high. But at this stage, it's about being ruthless and making sure that your best players are ready for every single game. So I'd have played them in the last game.
Okay, if we look at the 11, I'm going to compare it directly to the New Zealand 11. We were talking there about lack of variety, perhaps, that you were not completely satisfied with. This one has the kind of variety in bowling and batting that you'd be happy with.
This is their strongest 11, and this is probably one of the best T20 11s you can assemble, especially if you can get a wrist spinner in. You've nailed everything you wanted.
Good point.
That's about it. They don't have that, so let's not talk about it, but still a very strong 11. This is 11 that they've backed right through, unless they've decided to give a rest. Other than that, they've been phenomenally consistent with how they've picked their team. Ryan Rickleton, by the way, is a last-minute replacement to this team. He wasn't part of the frontline squad that was announced. Tony DeZorzi was there. He replaced
So
Tony
was Stubbs.
DeZorzi.
Even Stubbs wasn't in it.
Stubbs wasn't in it. That's
Yeah.
right. So these two guys, but have played a phenomenal role. Very attacking, very enterprising, and one that has actually made South Africa the strong unit that they look on paper. These two have played a good part in it.
Ryan Rickleton does a lot of opening as well. Is there virtue in T20 cricket of playing an opener at number 3?
Well, I think most number 3s could open in T20 cricket. You know, I think that someone like Harry Brook could easily go in first in T20 cricket. I just think if you're batting number 3, well, you've got to be ready to go first ball anyway because you could be out there.
You've already in this tournament taken him from 5 to 3. Are you telling me tomorrow he's going to open?
No, he's not opening. No, he's not opening. But you know, I think if you're batting at 3, you could easily go in first. There's not a great deal of difference. You know, that batting lineup's got everything. You know, and what they've got and they've had in recent times is the bravery to be brave at the right times. You know, take on the ball. I look at David Miller taking on Varun Chakravarti against India. You know, it took him for over 40. Not many do that. And hitting him down the ground. Again, not many do that. Brevis just seems to be this superstar that can come in any situation and go, bosh, hit the sixes. And T20 cricket, it's about being smart, but you need 6 hitters. You know, players that can hit your sixes can change the momentum of a chase or a momentum of a first innings inside 3 or 4 different, 3 or 4 deliveries, 3 or 4 sixes come your way. The whole momentum of the game, but you need that kind of power. All those players from one, look at Jansen. Jansen can hit sixes for fun.
Jeez.
So all of them at any stage can go, right, it's time to hit sixes.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, Corbin Bosch can hit sixes as well.
Yep.
He can go Bosch so till number 8. And they're all hitters. You look at that batting lineup. I mean, New Zealand has hitters as well. But just look at it. Markram, de Kock, Rickleton, Brevis, Miller, Stubbs, Jansen, Bosch. Jeez, where do you go?
They're a solid side, and I think they're playing with I don't know, for lack of a better word, like literally with the revenge sort of mindset, because, you know, they were within touching distance in that 2024.
Literally touching distance, right? With Surya's catch.
And from there, they lost it. So it feels like they're on a mission. And the same group of players played there.
Yeah.
So you almost feel like they want it so badly, and I think that'll drive them in a good direction.
I love the point that you're saying they want it really badly, I'm sure, but that's not coming across on the field, because sometimes when you want it too badly, you can mess up because you're so tight strung, you're so wound up. They are really relaxed. They're almost like, I don't want to say killing machine, but you know, in films when you see James Bond, like, you know, there's just folk, but they're cool. They're just calm.
I actually felt that in the Ashes in the winter, I felt Ben Stokes wanted it too much. I felt he wanted to do so desperately that it kind of went further away from him. And you're right in pointing out that Aidan Markram doesn't look like he's in that kind of mindset. He's been very calm, very disciplined in his messaging, playing well himself. I know he missed out in the last game, but that was just to get a few others a game for a knock. I just break down T20. If you can get, we talked about it the other evening, if you can hit 12 sixes, that's 72 off 2 overs, and then you've got 18 overs. You know, I think this South Africa side are the kind of side that can get 12 sixes on any day, and maybe a few more. But if you can kind of highlight, right, we're looking to hit 12 sixes, and then you've got 18 overs to score the rest. You'll get a big number if you consistently hit 12 to 14 to 16 sixes.
Yeah.
Big numbers coming your way.
And this team is absolutely capable of doing that. And if they get spin, now they're getting spin, of course, right? It's really interesting, though, because we're studying some... I study, apparently, like I do that once in a while. But with Santner and Maharaj, 2 left-arm finger spinners with completely different processes that are successful. So one is more successful when he's faster, one is more successful when he's slower in the air. Right? It's just amazing, because Santner, the more he pulls his pace back, the more success he gets, harder he is to hit. And with Maharaj, it's the opposite. DK, tell us, you've played against both. Is there something about the action? Is there something about their temperament? How do you explain this? Because for the outsider, they look so similar.
For a start, it's a deception of the arm speed. That is
Okay.
what determines how. So when somebody throws fast, but still the ball goes slowly, that means they put revs a lot on the ball. That's when that can happen. Because when you look to throw your arm fast, and if you don't put revs on it, it will go quicker. Santner is one of those who gets that loop on top and the ball dips because he's able to create that. Maharaj as well. But why Maharaj is faster and has been effective is because he bowls a lot more faster than slower. Whereas Santner is the opposite. He bowls a lot more slower than faster. So the arm speed is how you distinguish between what's fast and what's slow. Santner has a very deceptive arm speed. A lot of the
And
time,
that little pause as well.
And because he is able to hold his action a little bit more, he is able to deceive a batter, and he's able to almost watch a batter. Not as much as Usman Tariq, but he has a much shorter pause, but he still watches it through his arm what the batter is looking to do, which is a very good skill to have. And if you do watch Santner, when he gets hit for a boundary, when he gets hit for a six, a lot of bowlers will go quick, but he almost has the courage to just hold, stop, and go slower, which deceives the batter even further. And that's why it's a very tough skill to get, because when you bowl slower, if you bowl it fuller, people will tonk you.
Yeah.
You need to get the length right, which he has mastered over a period of time.
So his pause is very interesting because sometimes you can't even catch it with the eye. But on a scale of 0 to Tariq, with Ashwin kind of being somewhere in the middle with his pause, where do you rate Santner's pause?
Very similar to Ashwin. He can hold a pause. He doesn't have a very fast action, so it feels like he's not pausing, but he has a very smooth, rhythmical, picks up momentum a little bit. At the point of jump, he holds a very tiny bit, and then he watches what the batter is doing before he releases.
Have you ever played a bowler like that in your career? Did you have anyone who did that little pause?
In actual fact, in the 90s, Robert Croft, the England spinner, he used to pause. Jeremy Snape, again, an off spinner that played for England a few times, used to kind of pause. I think you have to have these kind of little tricks up your sleeve as a finger spinner. And I think where both bowlers are quite clever, particularly Santner, that slow one that he goes wide to a right-hander. He never bowls it into the hitting arc. Very rarely. He'll bowl a couple if he's kind of watching the batter and he'll fire one in. But generally when he bowls it slower, it's just a little bit wider. So he's getting the batter to kind of reach for the ball. Players that can play that to him and kind of reverse him and get him over backward point, I think that's the way to play Mitchell Santner. I think Maharaj is a different kind of, because he's a bit of an under spinner, and that's why he fires them in. But I think if Maharaj bowls slow, I think because of his height, I think he can just. So that's why.
And also his jump is a little higher as well.
Yeah,
so I think he kind of underspins it into the right hand in particular and kind of tries to get under the bat. But Santner for many, many years, I mean, again, such an experienced pro. And he's seen everything. He's seen every movement that a batter has delivered. Can't imagine that he's running into the ball and he kind of watches. I can't imagine any players in the world are doing something that he's not seen before.
Yeah.
He's seen everything. So he's just using all his experience and he's got the skill sets to kind of try and... He still gets hit because it's T20 cricket, but he tries to bowl the ball that's the hardest to hit for the movement that he's seen.
They're both obviously very smart because one of them is the captain, one of them has been the captain. So they're obviously very smart players. And today they'll have to use all those smarts because this is going to be a batting paradise. You can't get overwhelmed if the score goes beyond 220. South Africa is batting first. Santner did win the toss and chose to chase because that's where it's leaning, this game, this surface, this ground, that's where it's leaning. But it's easy enough from the outside to say, if it goes beyond 220, 230, don't lose hope. But that's perhaps going to be the reality today. And they're ready for it by batting up till number 9, New Zealand. But how difficult is it for your batters may be ready, but your bowlers still have to bowl those 20 overs. You've got to be ready with the fact that you could bowl well and still get tonked at over 10 and over.
Yeah, it is very much a possibility, but you need to be aware of what the ground generally tells you, what the pitch could be. There is no point thinking it'll be a 160 game if it's a flat deck. You can be rest assured you're going to go for more than that. Only if it goes past 230, 240, like you said, you start thinking, whoa, isn't it getting a bit too much? But up until it's 200, 210, you should be aware that you've done a fabulous job. If by chance they, bundle out for 180, 190, you've done very well for yourself.
Yeah, I think for their bowlers as well, for the New Zealand bowlers, they're bowling first. Then they'll have to do a mindset shift as well, because just like their batters have been batting in Sri Lanka, the bowlers have been bowling in Sri Lanka, where you don't go for that much, right? You're going for much lesser.
Yeah, but Lockie Ferguson, Henry are real kind of clever performers. I think where New Zealand have always been smart is they'll know that the pressure's on South Africa now. Batting first, South Africa will know they need a big number. And I think you can put pressure on a batting team that is trying to get to the 200, 210, 220s. By just bowling, a couple of dot balls, the pressure will build. One thing that you'll probably guarantee across both teams today, that they'll both field well. New Zealand in the field are excellent. Phillips catches everything that goes in the air.
Yeah.
And if you can put in a really good fielding display, you can bowl to your roles and you can bowl to your disciplines. Clearly, you're going to get hit because it's a good pitch, but I just think you can put a team like South Africa who have been in this position and haven't won and I think you can kind of play on that as a New Zealand team. So they're a very experienced team, and they'll know that by bowling first. Game has not been won, but they have a great chance. Just bowling a few dots and posting, getting South Africa to play some really big shots. You get a couple of wickets, and then you can restrict them to 180 because they might feel that they need 220, 230. They go too soon, or they lose a couple of wickets, and they have to keep going. You could see them getting bundled for 180, 185.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like the New Zealand bowlers don't have enough practice. They played on these flat wickets, 5-game series that they played. Everybody went for runs. They went for a lot of runs as well. So I think that's important, right? I mean, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that's what you guys are saying, and that's what everyone is saying, that there are going to be runs here. While we had a lot of, kind of fair bat versus ball battles in the earlier part of this World Cup, now with these two semis, tomorrow at Wankhede as well. And then for the final in Ahmedabad. You don't want to be a bowler, safe to say, right? You'd rather be a batter than a bowler in these places. So they're going to like the challenge. But yeah, it's going to be a run fest. The only thing that could pull it back for New Zealand would be if South Africa tries to try to go for too big a total and kind of just get bundled out maybe. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I am really looking forward to the semi-final. South Africa batting first because New Zealand told them to do that. Gentlemen, a couple of things to do before we go. Score guesses. What do you think it's going to be? I'm going 218. No?
201.
201.
2, 2, 3.
2, 2, 3.
Are you playing poker? Like he's opening them one card at a time. Just got us all with full of suspense. What's going on? All right. So we obviously think that there's going to be a lot of runs. You never know. This could be a 170 game as well. Hey, T20 cricket. You never know. Now, one thing we do know is that the joy factor question is something that always goes over our heads. DK's taken off his glasses. He's like, there's no point even reading this. If Rangana Herath is 10th on this list, Chetan Chauhan is 5th, and Niroshan Dickwella is 2nd. Who is in the first place, and what list am I talking about? So I know
that's got to be to do with Test cricket.
It's got to be with Test cricket,
Yeah,
yes.
Herath.
Though I do know that one thing about Chetan Chauhan is that he got he was a opening batter, opened with Mr. Gavaskar as well, quite a few Test matches.
Right.
I think he got the most number of 90s and did not convert it into a Test.
I can't see Rangana Herath getting a 90. Kochike.
That's the point, yeah. It's a good point. Because, I mean, with him and Dickwella, I thought, okay, opening. But Rangana Herath?
He's not opened in a game as a night watch or something.
The order in which they migrated to Australia? No, can't be.
That made no sense. How's the youngest person second then?
I know that Rangana lives in Australia. Niroshan was planning, so maybe. Chetan Chauhan is probably can't anymore, but
yeah,
he's not around.
Okay, interesting. We have no idea. If you know, let us know. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live, hashtag Joy Factor. Please let us know what your guesses are. I mean, because they can only be guesses. I don't think you can know the answer to that. But well done, Joy. I'm very impressed. That's a pretty cool question. Got us thinking for a bit. No thinking here required. We're going to enjoy the semi-final now. See you at the end of the 10th over and see where South Africa have reached. So we'll be there on Cricbuzz Combox. So do join us then. Big thank you to Michael Vaughan and Dinesh Karthik. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'm Gaurav Kapur. You were watching Cricbuzz Live. We're here all evening today. Be with us. Bye-bye.